Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I'm joined by Nalin Saluja. He's the co-founder and CTO of Virohan. Virohan is a Gurgaon-based healthcare Edtech startup, creating a niche intersection of healthcare and Edtech. They provide vocational trainings for paramedics, such as OT technicians, lab technicians, and X-ray technicians, by enabling them with a progressive livelihood. And I really like that. So, Nalin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Anurag. Thanks for having me. Hi, everyone. This is Nalin Saluja this side.
Pleasure is all mine, Nalin. Thank you so much for doing this with the Socially Desi Show. So, Nalin, to the audience who may not be aware about you, why don't you tell us a bit about your professional journey so far?
Sure. So I'm an engineer by profession and a co-founder and CTO at Virohan. We started in 2018, and Virohan is an edtech company. We provide, as you mentioned, demand-led quality learning for youth so that they can achieve jobs, focusing on the healthcare sector for now. What we essentially do is we're partnering with colleges, existing colleges across the country, and instantly adding the healthcare category to their portfolio of courses with exclusive international accreditations that we bring in, and a tech platform that standardizes the training and placement and everything and minimizes their investment or even dependence on subject matter experts. So that's what we're doing at Virohan. Right now, essentially, like if to put it simply, Virohan is a demand-led edtech platform for higher education with current focus on healthcare. I'm a CTO, so I look after the entire technology development, product development, and growth marketing at the company.
But when it comes to identifying this opportunity, what was the inspiration behind it?
Right. So the inspiration behind it was honestly this sort of very, very large demand and supply gap. There's approximately 10 million people working in the sector today, 93% of whom are estimated to be untrained and uncertified. And that obviously is a huge risk in a sector which has such a direct impact on our lives. 93% of the people are currently untrained and uncertified. And the demand for these, it's projected to be 40 million people are needed for the sector. Now, imagine the situation where only 7% of the existing 10 million are trained, and you need 40 million in the country. That's a massive, massive demand supply gap. And, that's sort of what we saw. And that's where, we created Virohan to address that gap.
Interesting. And that's an eye-opener, 93%. That's a huge number. And rightly said that if there's such a big demand and supply gap, then I think, this kind of an opportunity is definitely something that people can look out for. And we have seen in the last couple of years how the whole edtech space in India has really boomed. With companies like Byju's, being the unicorns and being one of, the best, the top edtech in the world. I think, it's high time that we also look at healthcare, which is right now the hot topic. And with the whole COVID situation, the way you said, right, we need those 40 million people, we need those trained people but the challenge is from where will they come? And I think that is where, edtech platforms really shine. And that's lovely to know. So you said that Virohan currently is focusing on healthcare, right? So right now, if you have to identify or establish a USP for your platform, what would that be?
Right. No, absolutely. So let me come to the healthcare part in a bit. Let me first start with, higher education in general.
Sure.
We're a fast-growing economy, right? And yet India ranks in the bottom 20% for workforce readiness globally. And we have a demographic dividend that's kicking in. 15 million youth are joining the workforce every year, and only about 3 million of them are estimated to be gainfully employed. And the situation is only sort of getting worse. Now, there's a few different factors that are contributing to that. One is that, thanks to the changes driven by Industry 4.0 and technology in general across different sectors, the nature of jobs is changing very rapidly. It's estimated that 85% of jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't been invented yet. And our higher education system, on the other hand, is sort of much more static as opposed to what industry is going through. So it's in a lot of ways it's disconnected from those industry needs, leading to only 24% of the graduates today getting jobs. And that's a big problem. And we need a new mindset to adapt our higher education system to the skills that are needed for this future workforce. And that's essentially where Virohan comes in. Now, coming back to healthcare is today the third largest employer in India with a 23% annual growth rate pre-COVID. And it has a massive need for industry demanded education because of the large numbers that we're talking about and the huge impact on human lives, etc. Right?
Right.
And allied health professionals. So paramedics, we use that word more sort of generally in India, but really the technical word is allied health professionals.
Okay.
And allied health professionals is the umbrella that covers everything from hospital administration to OT technicians, lab technicians to pharma assistants. And so there's a few different types of allied health professionals that exist, and they form a majority of health workers. So to give you a sense, the overall healthcare workforce, only about 15% are doctors, 25% are nurses, and about 60% are allied health workers. Right? So they form a very large portion. And as I said, 40 million of them are needed by 2028. And to be able to fulfill this larger requirement, we need an Edtech intervention, and we need it now. So Virohan's platform offers predictable outcomes to all its students and has delivered, we've been, as launched in 2018, we've trained over 3,000 students and, we have an NPS of over 65, a referral rate of over 52, job achievement rate of 100% this financial year. So, those are the kind of outcomes that our platform is able to bring out. So what we essentially do is we standardize the healthcare training to make that affordable and accessible in every part of the country, remove the dependence on subject matter experts, and ensure that more youth can achieve proper training and join the healthcare sector.
But Nalin, just a quick question. I think providing education is one part of it, but I think creating awareness is the other side of the equation. Because when you say you want to provide this education throughout the country in deeper pockets, in areas where the online education is not that easily accessible, so I think what are your thoughts when it comes to creating this awareness for the youth who may not be aware of कि यार इस तरीके की भी कुछ हो सकती है, I can get into a job like this, I can become a paramedic, I can help I can be the support staff in a hospital. So how do you create this awareness?
No, you're absolutely right, Anurag. That is one of the largest challenges. And I think, when if you think back to when the BPO industry first came to India, I think the challenge was to create awareness and, attract the talent to the sector. When the telecom industry started booming, I think then they had a similar sort of a challenge. When the airline industry started booming, they had to do massive drives to be able to start attracting talent. And I think it's time for healthcare to do that now. Everything said and done, whether it sounds politically correct or incorrect, the fact is that COVID has changed a lot of mindset towards healthcare and has started making us think about it in a very serious way. And that's every one of us is thinking about our healthcare, not just for ourselves, but for, in the context of our country, in the context of our districts. What is the infrastructure available to us? Who are the people involved in the system? And that, for the sector as a whole is actually unfortunately a good thing. The circumstances are unfortunate, of course, but overall it's a good thing because we need to do that. Healthcare has been a sector that's been far too ignored for far too long, and it's time we work on it. And, the thing is, there is huge career opportunities available in the healthcare sector today. The starting salaries have really increased. We are talking about 30 to 40,000 a month, going up to a lakh and a half a month. Given the kind of opportunities that are available to youth today in the healthcare sector, there's hardly any other sector that comes close. And so you can do engineering of 4 years and get a job in computer science, and of course you'll get a great career there. But if you don't have if you can't invest that much time or money into your education, or you just don't want to be an engineer, then you need another career option, and healthcare provides just that, because in about a year of education you get on a very strong career trajectory. And I think that's such a strong value proposition that and of course we are also putting our efforts into generating that awareness. But I think a lot of it is just it's also, to be honest, going viral at the moment.
And what is that really attracts a student? So, you gave an example of engineering. You can do engineering, you can get a good career ahead. People do medical, they become doctors. When it comes to these kind of specialized vocational trainings, what is that particular thing which attracts a student to this path?
I think the great thing about it, we visit the communities where our students live, and so one thing that I realized very early on is that the general lack of awareness is more, of course, the higher the age bracket of the people, there's more lack of awareness there about these kind of job roles, right? And so I when I visit the communities where our students are, staying, and talk to people in the communities, etc., and about how what they perceive about this the career that the student has chosen. A lot of times, what I hear from them is that that they're surprised that this kid turned out to be a doctor. Now they use the word doctor very casually there, right? Because it's not a doctor, clearly, but the thing is that for a large percentage of the population of the country, a healthcare worker is equal to a doctor, and they don't necessarily see the split of what all different types of healthcare workers there are. And of course, it's a very complex on-ground situation, because we have Ayush doctors, we have allopathic doctors, we also have a certain percentage of doctors who are not really qualified. And so people generally get confused. And what we have seen is that that an OT technician generally, people start perceiving them as not healthcare workers, but as doctors, or maybe just that the line between the two is very blurred in there for them. And that brings so much respect from the communities for the students who are doing these jobs, because because at the end of the day, healthcare workers are as a career, it's always been looked up to, right? And and so you get this immediate sort of social kick that comes in the moment you get a job in the healthcare system. And it's not just true for it's actually really, really true for women, because if you look at the women's labor force participation rates, that's something that India has been struggling with over the last few years, because it's been declining fairly rapidly. But what we have seen is that healthcare offers families with declining women labor force participation the right opportunity for them to bring their women back into the workforce. So about 50% of the people we have trained have been women, and they find it to be a very respectable career, a very safe workplace. Their families are very happy, when women achieve jobs in hospitals, labs, etc. And yeah, I think it's just that whole sort of real social capital that you get out of achieving these jobs. I think that's a massive boost to drive people into the direction of this sector.
And what sort of job roles are we talking about?
So these are job roles like operation theater technician, medical lab technician, radiology technician, emergency medical technician, hospital administration, dialysis technician, optometry technician. So there's about 45 different job roles that I can list out.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah, I think to our listeners today, they would have gained lot many good insights from this particular segment because, like you said, almost 50% of your trained students are women, and you said more than 45 different job roles are available, and I'm sure there'll be more. And this is actually a great opportunity for women and people actually who want to start over. Do you think that people who want to restart their careers, this is also a good opportunity for them?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, don't get, there is not a whole lot of options out there where you invest X rupees into your education, just Y number of months, and all of a sudden the kind of returns that you get. So, for example, the payback period today is about 3 months, right? So, whatever
Oh,
you
okay.
invest in your entire education, you earn back in 3 months of salary, right?
Wow.
That is very, very low investment and so it's great returns, and that is just the starting salary. Then the other side, the great side of it is that it also offers very strong career progression. And because what we want to ensure that our students don't just achieve jobs, but they should be in steady careers that can help them break through the sort of social pyramid of being stuck in a certain income bracket or stuff like that, right? Like your career should enable you to be able to break through those ranks. And I think healthcare offers that. So why not? If anybody today is thinking about where they should be building their career and they have a few months that they can invest in their education, I think it's an absolutely brilliant career option.
For sure, for sure. And like you said, healthcare right now is one of the hottest industries which are hiring left, right, and center. So I think, it brings up a great opportunity for students across India and across the globe to actually, figure this out, experiment, do some research, and of course, listen to this podcast to get more information about
Right.
how you can get your career into healthcare. And you don't just have to be a doctor or a nurse to be in the healthcare sector. You can have different roles, and like Nalin said, guys, there are more than 45 different kind of job roles that you can look at. So wonderful, wonderful. So Nalin, let's break into another segment and let's talk about something which is directly your niche. You are the CTO of Virohan. So when it comes to innovations and when it comes to edtech, so far we have seen you can get your K-12 education online, you can have vocational studies, you can do your MBA, upgrad is there. So a lot of these platforms are showcasing how you can bring that traditional kind of teaching online. But what sort of innovations do you see coming in the edtech space overall? And then let's focus on healthcare as well.
Right. So yeah, I think firstly, like I would like to sort of talk about EdTech in two different parts. There's
Yep.
K-12 and then there's higher education.
Yep.
K-12, of course, there's Byju's, there's Topper, there's Unacademy, there's Vedantu, there's a whole bunch of different organizations that are doing some phenomenal work, focusing on the students who are from kindergarten to their 12th grade, right? And that's sort of part of their journey. And then there's the higher education vertical. Higher education, there's slightly different players involved. There's Upgrad, there's Simply Learn, there's Virohan. And what I think players in the higher education space are working towards is building a technology platform that can ensure that their students achieve jobs at the end, right? And so your intervention has to be very targeted, very precise, very sort of driven by industry demand, and ensure that the students that come out of it learn exactly what is needed for them to be able to achieve great jobs in a very sort of fast growing sector.
Right.
And that's where the challenge lies, and that's exactly what the challenge that Virohan is working on. So our tech platform has a whole bunch of different initiatives built into it. We essentially understand the market demand using some machine learning algorithms,
Okay.
and then throttle our intakes of students into different programs and different geographies based on the market demand. Align our curriculum with that. Train the students using our different applications, both in class and online, in a pedagogy that we have sort of tweaked a lot to be able to achieve really high completion rates. I'm talking over 95% completion rates, less than 7% dropout rates. So get like achieve metrics which beat industry benchmarks by a mile, and that's essentially what we've cracked with our tech platform. And by doing that, what we can ensure is that no matter which part of this country we launch our next campus in, we can hit the ground running and we can start training youth there and connect them with the jobs out there. That's the Virohan product in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And when it comes to innovations, what sort of direction do you see the EdTech platform moving towards?
There's a lot that's going to happen over the next 10 years. Of course, education is becoming a lot more accessible and affordable, which is wonderful. And, so you don't, because see, we have some very senior and qualified people in our team, some doctors with stellar credentials. And, when they're creating the training material, and that training material is available to each and every one of the students in every part of the country. Right? That's something that they're getting for a really, really affordable rate, because they wouldn't have been able to get in front of the doctor and learn from that doctor in any other situation, right? And I think that's sort of a value that EdTech has already unlocked, where every one of us now has access to some of the best experts out there in the world. But I think it's going to get a lot more engaging over the next few years, because I think engagement is where everyone's sort of focusing on now, to ensure that that it's not just holding a phone and having a unidirectional engagement, but get much more deeply involved, gamify the experience, make learning really, really enjoyable, and use technology and tools that we have used in building addictive games and social platforms till now, but bring those to the education space, and use the effect, the sort of tools that we have in gamification and with social capital, and you leverage those to be able to create a habit forming learning product. And I think that's something that we're going to see very rapidly over the next few years. And I think that's going to change the game completely for higher education, because I think learning something new will become so easy that that will enable us all to start, even if we want to very late in our life switch careers, just make it that easy. Not be a daunting thing that, I have to go back to college and I have to take out 2 years of my life. Nothing like that. Something that's very simple, very flexible, but at the same time aligns you to a goal, builds a plan for you, keeps you on that plan, and engages you, makes it an enjoyable learning experience. That's where we're all headed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the analogy that you gave about, making your platform a habit forming a learning experience. Because at the end of the day, I think this is really important if you want more engagement, if you want that immersive experience, because we've been so used to the whole traditional way of going to a physical institution and getting the knowledge in front of, a one-to-one or a face-to-face interaction with your mentors, with your professors, that shifting this whole scenario into online will take a bit more time. A lot of the tier 1 and urban population has easily adapted to it. But I think, yes, the tier 2, tier 3 cities and the small towns, villages, that is where you still need to bring in more innovative ideas. And like you said, gamification is another great way of bringing that immersive experience and shifting that whole mindset of nahi bhai main to school mein jaake hi padunga, to something that my school is in front of me, it's in my laptop, or it's in front of my mobile phone, and I can get all the knowledge. But coming back to this particular situation where you get all of your knowledge virtually, but as let's say an OT technician or somebody who is assisting in the radiology, how do you get hands-on training?
Right, absolutely. So, for us, we have to make higher education work for both youth and employers. So it has to be a demand-led, omni-channel, deep tech training platform. That's what we're building, right? So we train youth through aggregated campuses and online, because we also today see that we also need that in-class engagement. There is something about the in-person engagement that we just can't yet take online, and we're working on that with. And I'm sure that in the next 2 years we'll be able to crack it. But until then, yes, we are training in class for sure. And we're doing all this for the employers, right? Ultimately, every training that we're doing is to ensure that the employers get what they need. So all our programs include really long internships, and I'm saying internships of about 5 to 6 months, where our candidates work in a real hospital, a real lab, or diagnostic center, and practice what they have learned. So it ends up being great value for the employers as well, as they achieve really much lower hiring costs due to these low cost long internships, and also generate strong alumni referrals. They also get a certified workforce that is mandatory for them to achieve accreditations with the National Accreditation Board of Hospitals or National Accreditation Board of Laboratories, and etc. They achieve significantly increased patient satisfaction, as about 70% of patient interaction in a healthcare environment happens with an allied health professional. And so, when a patient is spending 70% of the time with AHPs, then AHPs better be the trained and certified AHPs make a world of difference to their overall experience. And not to mention that they also improve care consistency, safety, and patient outcomes, right? So, so essentially, it's great value for the students as well as for the employers.
Interesting. Yeah, I really like that thought, where you have a good hybrid system in place. And I think that's really key right now because, like you said, it's going to take a few years for the whole system to get robust enough for everything to go virtual. But I still feel that there always needs to be a good balance between what you can learn virtually and what you need to learn with some hands-on training in front of the, using the apparatus, using the equipments, and learning from somebody who is a subject matter expert and somebody who can actually be in front of you and show you how it actually works. I think that hybrid system really makes a huge difference. And the way our brain works, it's really easy for us to grab something which is in front of us and being talked to us, physically. So I think that's great.
So Anurag, I would just like to build on that. You're absolutely right, and it's just about ensuring that you deliver the right kind of learning with the right kind of medium, right? So. There is a right medium for for example, if you just have to learn core technical concepts, you can do that online. You need to learn interpersonal engagement, you need to be in a classroom. You need to learn hands-on practical stuff, you're better off in a real-life environment where real tests are happening. So there is a right medium for each component of training, and that's essentially what we have done as well, where we've broken down our training into these different components and providing each of those trainings in these different settings and environments so that the learning is optimized. And that way we are able to achieve, employability and workforce readiness a lot faster than the higher education system has been able to so far.
True. Completely agree with that. I think you need that balance. You need the right kind of venues, avenues, and the right kind of setup for each a different kind of trainings that somebody needs to go through. So I think that's really key in order to give that complete experience and that overall 360-degree development of a student from where the student actually transitions to become a professional. And that is what I think, like you said, it's a demand-led economy, and at the end of the day, it's the company, the employer who is looking for the talent, and Virohan has that setup wherein students can be positioned as experts, and then they can get better opportunities and get hired by these employers. So really well said. Nalin, coming to the point on COVID, and in the last couple of years, we have seen how the whole healthcare industry, the whole country was shaken up, especially in the second wave which came in. How has your organization been able to cope up with it? How did you help, your students and the healthcare industry in general?
Right. No, that's an excellent question. So, when we first learned about COVID-19 in March 2020, We realized that our best efforts will contain the rate of spread and flatten the curve, but we're never going to address the quantum of disease as such, given its high infectiousness. So we anticipated a rise in the COVID-19 cases as soon as lockdowns were lifted. And one thing I want to highlight is that the COVID-19 crisis not only increased the demand for specific healthcare job roles, which it did, especially medical lab and phlebotomy
Yeah.
and all, but it also increased the responsibility burden across the existing healthcare workers.
True.
Because they had to now follow stringent protocols against the spread of infectious diseases, right?
Yeah.
And these additional responsibilities that they were doing were separate from the routine workload that they were facing as a result of increased number of sick people in the hospitals, challenges related to capacity building, increased panic in the general population, etc. And healthcare workers have to deal with all of that, right? And so,
Yep.
but at the same time, just like the rest of the country, they were also exposed to confusing information from various sources, especially
True.
unfortunately WhatsApp. And this misinformation was going to prevent them from doing their jobs, which could have had fatal implications.
Yeah.
So back then the urgent need for the healthcare industry was a wider distribution of clinically correct information. And in order to help healthcare professionals across the country, we use our online training platform to educate them on core medical facts that are critical in fighting the spread of COVID-19 and address all their doubts related to it. And we were supported by Omidya networks, and with their support, we trained about 1,200 healthcare professionals,
Okay.
and with all this information on COVID-19, such that each individual becomes a source of clinically correct information and practices for the community and for their teams. So that's how we began, and that's what we did last year. By the time the second wave came, we had also integrated the core training on COVID-19 into our curriculum for
Okay.
all our training programs and all our students. And so this year, I'm glad to say that when the second wave came, it's in context of India, we needed much larger numbers, of course, but we were able to provide 500 healthcare professionals to the industry at the beginning of the second wave, working healthcare professionals, right, trained and certified, ready to join the workforce. And that's the little that we did, because of course last year was also like with all constant lockdowns and everything, and education in general getting disrupted in
Yeah. Yeah.
various ways, especially at the school level. There were several challenges, but I'm glad that we were able to provide 500 trained and certified, ready to sort of hit the ground running healthcare workers to the industry at the time of the start of the second wave.
No, for sure. I think every single person matters. 500 for me, that's a huge number because, like you said, 93% of the people are not there. So at the end of the day, if you are providing at least like if even one person joins in the force and helps somebody, I think that's a huge
Right.
service that they are doing to humanity and to the country, to the people. I think that's great. So kudos to you and your team for doing this. And I'm sure you must have faced a lot of challenges during this in order to make sure that adding that curriculum in itself, making sure that the curriculum is done properly and it actually has all the what do you say, the norms and the regulations in place. Which meets the guidelines of the government and the other bodies that are taking care of, and and WhatsApp University, that's a very different case altogether because
Right.
you get like such nonsense information there, and I mean there was like plethora of information which had no connection to COVID, but then
Right.
people were just blindly following it, and a lot of people actually made their health worse because of that information. So I'm
Right.
glad that right now we don't have that situation, but I don't know, but it's like sometimes people need to really understand what needs to be done and what is true and what is wrong. They need to really figure it out. I think that's a big thing.
Right. No, absolutely.
So, Nalin, before we wrap up today's episode, any future plans for Virohan and any other releases that you have planned in?
Yeah, so given the opportunity at hand, we're currently only focusing on growth by increasing the number of partnerships that we have with colleges across the country, because we want to ensure that we can get this training to every district of the country as soon as possible. We need it across the country. There is demand across the country, and we just need to get out there and ensure that that we're able to provide this training and in as many colleges as possible. So we are engaging with colleges and universities right now. We have ongoing about 40 to 45 ongoing conversations for new partnerships that we're launching soon. And we plan to set up about 250 campuses in the next few years. And at the same time, we have also launched completely online training programs, which are only for the working healthcare professionals who are currently untrained and uncertified. So these people who are already working in the sector, but they never receive formal training, it's a great opportunity for them to learn the underlying concepts, understand the SOPs, get certified, become a formal part of the workforce and not stay on the fringes of the industry, especially as the industry is poised for such massive growth. So those are the two key things that we're focusing on, ensuring that, that we can take our training to every part of the country, and then also, start engaging with the existing healthcare workforce who's so far untrained and uncertified.
Wonderful. And what's the best way to reach you out?
We're available across different channels, but visit Virohan.com, and that's our website, and that has our contact information. We're obviously available on all channels. You can reach us on WhatsApp. You can on the official number of the company. You can call us. You can even email us at hello@virohan.org. And we're pretty responsive, and we'd love to chat with everyone. Really, whether it's youth looking to join the sector, a college who's looking to add this vertical, or an employer looking to hire, or just someone who's curious about the whole thing. We're just happy to chat with people and spread the awareness. So definitely encourage people to reach out to us.
Wonderful, guys. So the links will be in the show notes below. Do definitely check out Virohan. And of course, if you want to reach out to Nalin and other co-founders, you can reach them out on LinkedIn. We'll put the links in the show notes below as well. With that, Nalin, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show today. I'm sure our audience would have gained good insights, new information, and some really great eye-openers. So thank you so much for being in the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Anurag. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Nalin on our show again in the future to talk more about the wonderful world of healthcare and paramedics. So if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.